The narrative from these social media posts, be that from President Donald Trump, Elon Musk or now Marco Rubio, is that the South African government is anti-white and that some political figures, read the leadership of the economic freedom fighters, are actively promoting white genocide in their singing of the struggle song Dubula Ibunu. The Equality Court ruled in 2022 that the singing of the song was protected under the freedom of speech rubric, explaining that it articulated the failure of the current government to adequately address issues of economic empowerment and the ownership of land, a ruling that was upheld by the Supreme Court of Appeal just last year. A series of media posts started with Elon Musk on March 22nd, posting to his 219 million followers a commentary essentially accusing the EFF of actively promoting white genocide. A post linked to another showcasing a video of EFF leader Julius Malema leading supporters in the Kill the Boer chant.
Shoot to kill, Yamasa!
Repeating his debunked claim that Starlink cannot get a license to operate in South Africa simply because he was not black. Cue President Trump on Truth Social, sharing a screen grab of Musk's post on Sunday. Secretary of State Marco Rubio weighed in on Monday, labeling the chant an incitement to violence, urging South African leaders and politicians to take action to protect Afrikaners and other disfavored minorities, adding that the US was proud to offer those individuals who qualify admission to the USA amid this continued threat of violence. Narrative. President Ramaphosa writing in his newsletter this week that in South Africa today all citizens enjoyed equal rights and freedoms that the state was obliged to uphold, protect and advance. That there were constitutional protections guaranteed to all racial, cultural and linguistic groups, including their right to enjoy their culture and to use their language. That South Africans should challenge the completely false narrative that South Africa was a place in which people of a certain race or culture were being targeted for persecution. Also indicating earlier Tuesday that the work to determine Ambassador Rasool's replacement was underway.
To the United States, our ambassador has come back home, and obviously it behoves on us as a government to mull over replacing our ambassador. The United States is the second largest trading partner to South Africa, so therefore we need to have top-class representation in the US, and that is something that we are still working on. The president appoints ambassadors, and it is within his sole right to appoint ambassadors.
The country's Director General for International Relations at the UN on G20 business, also fielding questions about South Africa's relationship with the United States moving forward.
Take the issue about Afrikaners in society, in our society, and race-based laws. And if you do an assessment of all of that, there are no race-based laws. And in fact, many of the race-based laws that they cite no longer exist. They're from the apartheid era. What they do cite is a set of pieces of legislation and policies that seek to foster inclusion, such as affirmative action, issues around redress, land reform. So what we're finding is a combination of a deliberate misinformation campaign by people who are losing privilege. And equality itself is the threat. So how do we undo that? We have to explain what our policies are about. You can't undo redress policies after a significant number of years of, systemic exclusion from the economy, from ownership of land, of the vast majority of South Africans. And that structure has not changed. And therefore these redress policies remain important. So we cannot be changing our policies and principles which arise from our Constitution based on these attacks. What we can do is engage with the US about what the truth is, what's misinformation, what's fact and what's fiction.
Arguably with little success to date, given the continued hostility towards South Africa. Dangor concludes his engagements here at the United Nations. He will head to Washington, D.C. for a meeting of the G20 Troika, which comprises past President Brazil and future President the United States, to work out what the modalities are to ensure a successful outcome of the G20 this year. Dangor would be the highest-level government official to visit Washington in an official capacity since President Trump's executive order in February and the expulsion of Ambassador Rasool earlier this month. Sherwin Bryceby's SABC News, New York.